Viva Fitness. Fiesta Fit Fest presented by HEB is coming to San Antonio, April 14th through the 16th, 2023. Get geared up to party and celebrate all things fitness. Headlined by Le Tap San Antonio, the Tour de France cycling event. Cyclists of all ages. The Le Tap San Antonio presented by HEB sold out last year. Register for the 160 or 25-mile Tour de France cycling event today. Register today at fiestafitfest.com.
Oh, Pickle. It's Tuesday, and on Tuesday, we celebrate Math Tuesday.
Math Tuesday. Math Tuesday.
It's Math Tuesday here on Texas Football Today. You know what really sets that whole thing off?
What?
Is the people cheering for the house exploding
with American
flags.
That's
what really does it. Is because honestly, I love it, and I also love our nation, and so it just kind of combines all the things that I like.
Yeah, nothing makes me laugh more when I just see the. Like, I can't imagine watching a house explode and just waving one of the little like Dollar Tree American flags back and forth.
I love it.
I'd be like, "Dah!"
So it's Math Tuesday.
Tuesday.
We're going to talk about high school football and specifically about returning experience. So if you flip open the 2020, well, yeah, you can't flip open the 2023. It doesn't exist. 2022 summer edition of Dave Campbell's Texas Football. And you were to go read one of the high school previews. There's more than 1,500 high school football previews across the state of Texas. In that magazine, you will see kind of a familiar format to them. Okay? Got the name and their mascot, got the head coach, got what their record was last year, got a number of the key players this year, got a nice write-up from one of our outstanding writers. And one of the things that it says is it'll say starters returning O/D, offense and defense. Mm-hmm. It's one of the things we ask coaches when we ask for the questionnaire. We ask for the questionnaire from coaches to turn in not only the great players you have, but also how many lettermen you have back, things like that, but specifically how many starters you have returning. Now, a small caveat here. There are coaches who define starters in different ways. That I don't... Okay, let me ask you a question, Pickle. Mm-hmm. The starting quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys is...
Dak Prescott.
Is Cooper Rush a returning starter?
No.
See, I would agree with you, but there are certainly some coaches who would say
he started 4 games. Yeah.
He started a quarter of their regular season, so shouldn't he count as a returning starter? So there is a little bit on the margins here that we can argue with, but generally speaking, it gives you a decent snapshot of the key contributors that are coming back for each high school football team.
Out of curiosity, what would be your definition? My personal definition, I think, of starting quarterback would be which quarterback that's returning started the most games. That's what I think I would do.
I think it would be who start. Yeah, I guess that's fair. Maybe we're saying the same thing. I think that the bar should be if you started more than half of the team's games.
Okay, yeah.
I think at that point,
which again would that's saying basically the same thing, I guess,
because
thing. Then I would be saying that if one started 7 and one started 6, then the guy that started 7 was the starter.
If a team goes 10-2 and the quarterback started 6 games, I think he's a returning starter.
Yes, I agree.
In my opinion.
That's fair.
But your mileage may vary. All that is to say, we ask every high school football coach in the state how many starters they have returning. Mm-hmm. And obviously, I don't think it's really any sort of secret that having starters returning feels like it should be a big deal, right? Because you have that experience. Experience matters. Especially, I think, at the high school ranks, it really matters. In the college ranks, you can have these breakout freshmen. The pro ranks, maybe you can have, there's so much turnover on the rosters that returning starters aren't necessarily a big thing. But the high school rank, one of the reasons we include it in the magazine is that we do think it matters. But does it? Does it matter? Because one of the things I want to look at this week on Math Tuesday is I want to take a look at the 12 UIL state champions from 2022, right? The Duncanvilles, the China Springs, the Gunners, the Westbrooks. And then I want to go back to what they told us before the season. And I want to say, hey, how many returning starters did you have? Because theoretically, all of these guys, if it matters as much as we think it does, then all of these guys should have a lot of returning starters.
Yeah.
Certainly there are outliers. But I want to see what kind of connection there is between the state champion, work backwards from state champion back to how much experience they have, because I think it can inform us going forward into 2023. So let's take a look at the 12 reigning UIL state champions across the state of Texas and see what they brought back going into the year. My overall takeaway here is that, and so basically if it was seven or more in the 6-man ranks, like 4 or more, I put it in green, and if it was 4 or less, then I put it in red, right? Because if you have 3 returning starters from your defense, that's not a ton of starters.
No,
I think we
not.
would all agree. I think what the whole takeaway here is, you take a look at this graphic. Duncanville had 6 and 6 coming back. South Oak Cliff 8 and 9. That's a classic loaded team coming back, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
The 6-man ranks, I think those are perfect examples of where experience really matters.
Yes.
Westbrook brought back 5 starters on offense, 5 starters on defense from a defending state champ.
Yeah. I mean, that's their entire,
Yeah.
Benjamin's is their entire offense and entire defense.
That also gets an asterisk, because that was 6 starters on offense, 6 starters on defense, and they added Grayson Rigdon,
which is the key
So
to success.
that is so that's adding a guy who started at his previous spot. Same thing, there's also an asterisk that goes with China Spring. Because China Spring, of course, replaced their quarterback from a year ago, Major Bowden, but they did so by bringing in a guy with a lot of starting experience in Cash McCollum. So that 5 number does not include Cash McCollum. We can certainly argue that it should.
Right.
That it should actually be 6 starters. I think the overall takeaway here, there are 3 teams, there are only 5 units of the 24 units that won a state championship last year. Only 5 of them brought back 4 or fewer starters of the 11-man ranks. DeSoto on both sides of the ball, only 3 stars on offense, 4 stars on defense. Aledo on both sides of the ball, 4 stars on offense, 4 stars on defense. And the Carthage defense, which only brought back 3 starters. Contrast that with, you would have 8 units that I think brought back a good amount of experience. South Oak Cliff on both sides of the ball, the Carthage offense, the Hawley defense, which brought back 8 starters, and then the entirety of the 2 6-man teams. The other teams, everyone else falls into that big middle where they bring back 5 starters or 6 starters or 7 starters from a year ago, right? Right in that big middle. So how much do returning starters matter in Texas high school football? I would say a fair amount, but it's not a death sentence if you don't have them. Because I think Aledo is a good example of that. We had big questions going into the year about Aledo. Let's not do revisionist history.
No, they lost their first 2 games, and we blew up.
Moving up a division, we didn't know if they had a quarterback.
No.
Right? We had concerns about the offensive line.
And we
And they
still
started
had a
0-2.
little bit of concern about the offensive line heading into the state championship. That was just their weakest unit.
And they started 0-2.
Yep.
But obviously, pedigree, coaching, all of those things, and development won out there. Same thing with DeSoto. DeSoto only had 7 starters back. But Claude Mathis and his staff were able to turn that into a state champion.
Well, and they added Trey Wisner, Cedric Harden.
Yes. They had, those are another kind of asterisk of guys who started at other places but were playing at this team. The real interesting one, I think, is Carthage, because you get both of them. You have an offense that brings back a lot, 9 starters, and a defense that gets kind of decimated. And it was a flip. If you think about it, it was a flip from the year before, because in Carthage in 2021, the offense was really kind of its undoing.
Yep.
The offense could not find any sort of consistency. The defense held its own and held them in it. 2022 looked entirely different, with their offense doing the majority of the heavy lifting, especially early, and I think that showed within these numbers as well. The Hawley defense as well, which was fantastic, but Hawley, in hindsight, has all those hallmarks of a state champion. It's easy to say that now. So, to pull it all together, how much does returning starters matter in Texas high school football? I think it matters a fair amount.
Yeah.
Because of the 24 units that won a state championship last year, 19 of them brought back at least an average amount of starters.
And
I think that's what you need to at least enter the season with legit state championship hopes. There are surprises, but I think that if you're looking for projecting forward, I do think that returning starters do matter.
And I think right at that 6-6, 7-5, 5-6. Like, I feel like that's exactly actually where you want to be, because I feel like that's a really healthy balance between maybe a starter that you did have isn't as good as the new sophomore that's moving up. So I feel like right there at that like 6-6 range, 7-6, that's exactly where you want to be, because you've got your core group of likely seniors, upperclassmen really taking the reins and showing the younger kids, but you might just have more talent in the younger kids or a move-in or whoever. But that's, the middle ground is where you want to be.
And next week on Math Tuesday, and here's a lateral tease, I'm going to tell you which teams bring back the most starters for 2023 on Math Tuesday.
Math Tuesday.
Thanks so much for watching that video. If you would like more and to be notified when they come out, go ahead and click that subscribe button right down there. You can also watch Texas Football Today every day live at noon on TexasFootball.com, Facebook, Twitch, and right here on YouTube. For more of the best coverage of Texas football in the Lone Star State, go to TexasFootball.com/subscribe.